Morning. Hope you're having a good day so far. It's still early. I wanted to talk about being negative. Right. So many people tend to see things from a negative perspective. Uh, we like to think of ourselves as being positive, good people. Yet, I think by default, many of us will default to the negative. Right. An example is imagine that you and your friends are in some sort of competition, right? Maybe a sports competition or some sort of challenge at work, and your friend succeeds and you didn't. What are the first thoughts in your head? Would it be joy and happiness for the other person, or it could be jealousy or maybe dislike for that person? It, I would say many of us would immediately skew towards the negative. We with negativity bias, it's just that we tend to we not only do we skew towards the negative, we dwell on these types of things, right? It kind of eats away at us. um, so for example, we remember the bad times more than the good times. um, if someone says something that may be insulting or hurtful, we remember that more than praise or compliments that we receive. We tend to respond more strongly to negative things versus positive things. We actually think about more negative things than positive things as well. If you watch the news, notice that a lot of it is negative because it's the type of those are the types of stories that attract viewership, that people respond more to, and these media outlets are aware of that. They know that people tend to, again, focus on the negative. So how do you know if you are prone to negative thinking? Again, uh, there's four examples I would say. First one is called filtering. You experience you're in a positive state. Again, maybe at work everything's going well, but again, there's one thing, small thing that might go wrong, and that's what you're gonna focus on, regardless of 99% of your day went well. You're gonna focus on that 1% negative thing. The second one is called personalizing. uh, it's something happens, bad happens, you blame yourself, right? People feel that they're at fault, regardless of the event or the situation. It's your fault, right? The third one would be catastrophizing. You always think of the worst. You always expect bad things to happen. Again, you expect the future to be uh, not good. And the last thing I would say, the fourth thing would be polarizing. You're very black and white in terms of seeing things as good or bad. There's no gray or no areas of compromise. So these four types of behaviors, if you've identified with any of them, filtering, personalizing, catastrophizing, or polarizing, you are guilty of negative thinking, and I am for sure. And it's something that's very difficult to change. It takes time. Uh, you may ask yourself, where does this come from? So there could be again a variety of reasons. There's no one true root cause. It could be some sort of experience in the past, could have been very traumatic. Maybe you grew up in a type of environment or around people where negative behavior was commonplace, and that's just what you learn to do. And maybe it could be parents, friends, teachers, could be anything. There's that saying where you're the sum of the five closest people in your life. If those five people were negative, then odds are you're going to be negative as well. Another potential reason for why we have this negativity bias is it's we've evolved this way. So back in the day, back in history, that we were more worried about dangers around us. Could have been wild animals ready to attack us, or the environment that's is very dangerous. Could be the weather or the physical surroundings, or there's people. We're worried about people hurting us or cheating us, right? So in order to be safe, in order to avoid these dangers, we're more aware of negative things, right? Like these are the warning signs that we need to pay attention to in order to protect ourselves. Hence, we have a penchant to focus on the negative, right? And over time, um, as society has evolved, and we don't have to worry about wild animals attacking us or living in a dangerous environment. Those have subsided, yet our behaviors to view things from a negative perspective has continued, right? And it has a very detrimental effect on our lives, right? So if you're always negative, think about um, how you behave, how you act. How do you think it influences the people around you, the environment around you? Again, you're spreading like a disease, right? If you're negative and you treat someone in a negative manner, it can impact how they behave, right? Could be could be a traumatic event in their life that causes them to continue to be negative. Being negative can impact your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being. It can cause a lot of stress. So it's going to hurt you as well, right? It's it's again something that I feel that people would need to spend a lot of time on, and you need to be patient about changing. Again, we're skewed towards negative thoughts, right? So it's not like we're going to change our behaviors overnight. So some quick ideas on how to change that is, or actually before that, I'll say, think about uh, times where you may have exhibited this type of negative behavior. Um, were you aware that you even did this? Think about what happened. Right. The first thing towards any change, our first step is to have the self awareness to identify that you're exhibiting these behaviors or thoughts. Right. So you need to catch yourself whenever you think that you're exhibiting this negativity bias. Like, why are you thinking this way? What's the situation that triggered it? Right? Can you determine what the root cause of causing you to act this way? You might not be able to resolve the root cause, but you may be able to mitigate the impacts or change your behaviors in the future. Acting in a negative way, how do you think it impacts other people, and how do you think it makes them feel? And then, if you do want to change, what are you going to do going forward? Do you need help from someone, or do you need a resource that you need to refer to? Again, change takes time and it takes effort, and you need to make the commitment to make that change, right? With the negativity bias, again, it's ingrained into us, and um, like again, I mentioned before that in order to make any change, you need to again develop the self awareness and commit to making that change. Right? When we blame ourselves for things, we all have that inner voice that is our inner critic or inner saboteur that that speaks down upon us, that tells us that we're the ones that are at fault, that we're the ones that are causing the trouble, that it's our fault for not knowing and not being able to accomplish something. That's that voice that you'll need to quiet down or challenge, right, or replace with the positive voice, right? Again, it takes effort, it takes commitment. See, one simple analogy of the changing from the negativity bias to a more positive one is when you the common saying of is the glass half full or half empty. If you're geared towards that negativity bias, you're going to say the glass is half full, versus if you're more positive, you'll say it's half. Sorry, did I make a mistake there? If you're negative bias, you'll have a negativity bias. You'll say that the glass is half empty, versus someone who's more positive will say it's half full. You need to temper your expectations, right? That negativity will arise because you'll feel that you're caught in difficult situations or experience failure. When I say temper your expectations, you have to expect that these things will happen. that life isn't always smooth or pleasant, that bad things will happen, right? If you set yourself up and know that these things are inevitable, it may help temper that inner critic, right? That you're and help you avoid that negativity bias. Basically, in the end, whatever you choose to do, you need to think about like what is your ultimate goal or goals, right? Is it to make progress in your own life, or you don't care, right? If you choose to make change, you need to make that commitment. In order to handle those difficult things and avoid having that negativity bias, you have to be flexible and be able to adapt to any challenge that's thrown at you, right? And again, if you want to change, it takes time and it takes commitment, right? It's very easy to default to a negative perspective. It's what I would say we tend to be surrounded with, but it takes, I'll say, a bigger person, right? A more committed person, a stronger person to be able to say that, hey, I know I have this negativity bias, and it is time to change. This can apply to any type of change you want to make in your life, right? It's easy to talk about it, but it's hard to take action, right? And when you take action, it's better to make a bit of progress than to be perfect the first time, right? So there's another saying that I enjoy, that I really like, is progress before perfection. So if you're so focused on perfection, you're always planning and doing an analysis, you're never going to be able to make any progress if you don't act, right? So start acting. If you make a mistake, you're going to repivot and try again, right? Again, life is about learning, right? And you learn from those failures. And it's about, again, always making adjustments, right? So that you can get towards your goals and be able to achieve them successfully, right? No one, rarely do people are able to achieve these right off the bat, okay? So, again, negativity bias, don't do it or avoid it, all right? Thanks. Take care.